So let's talk about how to start a business in the UK as a sole trader. Now, in some of my previous videos, I've shared with you guys some business ideas that you can start doing if you're looking to actually start a business here in the UK. I've also shared with you some of the things you should consider when running your business through a limited company structure. But what if you're in the situation where you currently have a business idea, right? But you're not quite ready to actually commit to some of the complexities that come about as a result of running your business through a limited company structure. Now, what can you do? Of course, the alternative here is to simply get started and start running your business as a sole trader or a self-employed person here in the UK. But there's a lot of things you will actually need to consider, okay, before you take that step. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about in today's video. So the very first thing you want to think about when you are looking to get started as a sole trader or a self-employed person looking to start a business here in the UK is going to be to think about your business name. Now, when you're thinking about your business name, you want to make sure that, first of all, it doesn't contain any offensive words or things like that. You also definitely want to make sure that that particular name that you're using, even though you're a self-employed person, you want to make sure that name is not linked to a registered company. Okay, this is going to be very, very important. You cannot use the name of a registered company as your business name, even like being self-employed. Okay, so this is something that you do need to make sure that you pay attention to. However, another thing that's going to be important when choosing a business name is actually taking some steps to protect that business name. This is not a compulsory thing, but it's something that you definitely want to think about, particularly when it comes to the fact that you're looking to maybe run this business over the next couple of years as a self-employed person. Now, one of the ways that you can go about protecting your business is to register a trademark against that business name. Now, this particular method does tend to be quite expensive. It can be costly. It can take quite some time to actually get that trademark registered against that business name, because the whole essence of registering a trademark against your business name is that you are protecting that business name. So that essentially in years to come, as you grow that business, even though you're a self-employed person, your aim overall is that you want to protect that business name. You want to protect the brand image of that company. So registering a trademark against the business name is one alternative that you have. A second alternative, and probably a slightly cheaper alternative, is to think about registering a dormant limited company. Now, a dormant limited company is exactly as the name sounds. It's a limited company, but it will be registered as a dormant company. Now, using this way, not only is it slightly cheaper, well, considerably cheaper and less time consuming than registering a trademark against the business name, but if you registered a dormant limited company, then essentially you would be protecting that business name. Okay, you would protect that business name. No other person can come in and register their business using that particular business name, given that you have now registered a dormant limited company in that particular business name. This method will also ensure that in years to come, as your business progresses, you know, in terms of the revenue it's making, its profitability, etc., you will then have the ease and convenience to simply switch over from your current business entity structure, which would be a sole trader, and you would simply switch over to using that limited company. So essentially, you will go from having that company as a dormant limited company to now utilizing it as an active limited company. So by doing it this way, it basically means that you are able to conveniently switch over using that same business name that you've been trading with as a sole trader, and you use that to trade through your limited company, which will now be active. Now, the advantage of doing it this way is that as your business grows and becomes more attractive to run and trade as a limited company, you will already have an existing dormant limited company that you can simply switch over and run your business through, okay? And you are also going to be able to continue to use that business name that you have been using as a sole trader or as a self-employed person, because using a dormant limited company, you would have been able to kind of protect that business name. The next thing you're going to want to consider is to consider what level of risk you're actually willing to take. Now, believe it or not, there are some risks involved when it comes to trading as a sole trader, okay? Running your business as a self-employed person here in the UK. But I think the main risk you really want to consider is the financial risk that comes as a result of running your business as a self-employed or a sole trader here in the UK. And this is because when you're running your business as a sole trader, there is no separation between you and the business. You are the business in this particular instance, okay? It's not like when you have a limited company and there is that separation between you and the limited company. If you choose or decided to run your business as a self-employed person, as a sole trader here in the UK, then you have to ask yourself, what level of financial risk are you willing to take, okay? Because if you have a business idea which would involve you having to borrow a significant amount of money, a significant amount of debt, for your business, then you are potentially putting yourself at risk, because any debt that is incurred by the business, you will personally be liable for, okay? And this is very different if you chose to register your business in a limited company structure, because there is that division. So I think one of the main things to consider before making that final call is, what is your risk appetite? How much financial risk are you willing to take if you wanted to actually trade as a sole trader? Obviously, if your business idea doesn't involve you having to, amass a load of debt, and you are quite comfortable taking that amount of debt in your personal name and running the risk, then by all means, you can go ahead and register as a sole trader and, carry on running your business via sole trader, okay? But if you think that the business debt that you're going to have to run up in your personal name is probably just too risky for you to actually think about taking on, then you definitely want to consider registering a limited company instead. The next point you're going to have to consider is, are you actually looking to employ staff? Okay, when you're running this business as a self-employed person, you need to be thinking to yourself, will I see myself needing to recruit staff, whether now or in the near future? And if you are looking to recruit staff into your business as a self-employed person, then one of the things you do have to bear in mind is that you will have to be able to make sure that you are collecting income tax as well as national insurance contributions and paying those over to HMRC, okay? And the process by which you usually need to do this is by something called the PAYE system, okay? The pay as you earn. So I do already have a few videos on my channel which talks in depth about how to go about hiring employees into your business here in the UK. So I'll be sure to leave links to those videos down in the description box below. So if you are interested, then do make sure you look for them in the description box below. Next point you're going to need to consider is whether you're going to need VAT registration. Now, VAT registration is not going to be applicable in all instances. And if I'm being very honest, for the vast majority of those who run their businesses, even as a self-employed person, you typically will not need to register for VAT until your annual turnover hits a minimum of £90,000 in the last 12 months. This particular threshold is always changing, so it is important to stay on top of whatever the VAT threshold might be, in the next 1 year or 2 years. But it's worthwhile thinking about this, because if you are running your business as a self-employed person, but you're not actually prepared for when you become VAT registered, then this might take you as a surprise, okay? And another thing that you will need to consider is the fact that when you do eventually become VAT registered, then it will affect the prices that you are automatically going to have to start charging to your customers, because for the vast majority of business owners, they will find that they have to increase the selling price of their products or their services by a certain amount, so that it enables them to basically charge for the VAT that they're going to have to pay to HMRC. I have a video which talks about VAT registration in a little bit more detail, so if you are interested, I'll be sure to leave that linked in the description box. With the exception of VAT, you do have to think about what other taxes you're likely to pay running your business as a sole trader here in the UK. And really, the only other type of tax that would be applicable in this scenario is your income tax. And the amount that you will pay on your income tax will basically depend on how much profit your business is making. The primary way that you would make your payment of tax as a self-employed person is through the process of completing what is known as a self-assessment tax return. Now, that takes us to timing of when these taxes are likely to be due. Now, if you're filling out your self-assessment tax return, or your accountant is filling this out on your behalf, then in terms of the deadline, you need to make sure that your self-assessment tax return, or your accountant needs to make sure that your self-assessment tax return is filed and completed and submitted to HMRC by the 31st of January every year. Okay, so it's very important that you have this deadline in mind if you're someone who is self-employed or running your business as a sole trader, because if you miss this deadline, then it basically triggers a whole host of penalties and fines, which you definitely do not want. So if you have decided that running your business as a sole trader here in the UK is what is the best decision for you, then the next step you're going to have to take is to essentially register with HMRC as a sole trader. This is going to be important for two main reasons. One, it's going to be important because this is the way you're actually going to be able to inform HMRC that, hey guys, I'm now trading as a self-employed person, or I'm running my business as a sole trader here in the UK. And the second reason that you want to make sure you do this is because this is the only way you're actually going to be able to get what is known as a UTR, okay, also called a unique tax reference number. This is going to be very important, particularly when it comes to you filling and submitting your self-assessment tax return, or in the instance that you actually have questions relating to your tax return or any tax queries when you contact HMRC at any point in the future. So to learn more about the registration process as a self-employed person here in the UK, I've created an in-depth video which will talk you through all the relevant steps you need in order to register and get started trading as a self-employed person here in the UK. Click this video to watch it now.